Okay, and then I'm going to change my view so that we have, okay, there we go. All right, now we're recording. This is going to be fun. So essentially, what we're doing here is hopefully connecting with you directly. And if you have any questions or concerns related to our brand or products, I am here to answer them. So the format because we want to make sure we get to absolutely all questions, the format is going to be, if you have a question, I'd like you to be able to drop it into the chat. So there should be a little chat button on the bottom of your screen bar. Just go ahead and type your questions into the chat. You can type them in at any time, and I can't wait to go through them all. Before we dive into Q&A, I'd just like to take a moment, since this is the very first time, to share with you just a little bit about SwiftPaws, where we've been, and what is coming ahead for us. So I founded SwiftPaws all the way back in 2012 after discovering the sport of lure coursing. And ultimately, I ended up making my very first machine with the help of my dad. And then for the first 7 years of the business, we made professional grade machines. And our customers were predominantly dog trainers, clubs, doggy daycares, zoos, and other pet professionals. And while we still make those pro grade machines today, since the launch of our very first consumer version, which was Home Original, we've welcomed a much larger community of customers who we like to call our pack members, who buy and use our products, and they do that for personal use. Today, we've got 3 versions of our lure coursing kits for personal use. That would be Chase, Home Original, and Home Plus. And we have started to explore the world of enrichment even beyond that framework of our kits. So there's sort of been this methodology that I've developed over the last 13 years, living and breathing this world and being in the pet industry. I try to look for healthy outlets for our pets' natural instincts, because oftentimes their natural instincts lead to them expressing behaviors that we might label as bad, right? Digging, chewing, chasing, barking, and how we can provide them with healthy outlets to let them express those natural instincts and burn off that energy in a way that is not only a little bit more acceptable for us, but also in a way that helps us strengthen our bond together. And I've come to think of all of that as conscientiously adding mentally and physically engaging activities to our daily routines with our pets. Or in a nutshell, how we can play well with our pets every single day. So to that end, this year, 2025, it's right at the start here, we are going to be doubling down on customer experience, and that's starting with this very first live session. And as our community grows, we want to make sure that we are providing materials, education, products, support, and services that you all need to play well with your pets. So with all of that, this call is going to be a wide open format. I would love to hear from you if there's anything during your journey as a customer with us that you feel could be improved on, and also answer any of the burning questions that you might have. So go ahead and drop those questions into the chat, guys, and we'll just start going back and forth. I want this to be sort of an open two-way communication. All right, so Andy, and that looks like a cattle dog in your picture there. Adorable. Oh, and if you guys want to, please share with me your dog's names, what types of dogs you have, maybe any other pets that you have too. It is one of my favorite parts about this job is getting to meet so many people and their pets. So Andy says, you're in Ohio. Yes, weather is super cold right now. So it's snowy and wet, and asking if it can be used outside during the rain and snow. Obviously taking into account safe speed or any ideas. That is a really good question. If you asked me that question 5 years ago, I would have said, I don't really know about that. But in the last 5 years, really, since we've been offering our backyard versions, we have seen so many people do some incredible things outside in the snow, in the cold weather. Couple things to keep in mind. Some people end up shoveling a pathway, right? So if you've got snow that you don't think would be really appropriate for your pet to run in, you may have to do a little bit of legwork. And that has been awesome to see. We've seen some really cool videos there. And second to that, the products of ours that are battery operated, just like our phones don't like to work very well when they're cold. Those batteries don't like to work well cold anyway, as well. So I recommend if you're going to take it outside and it's like freezing or below freezing even temperatures, you're going to want that battery to be in like room temperature conditions until you're ready to play with it. Once you're using it, it's going to keep itself warm, kind of like a car. But you might want to like stick that battery in its little pouch and like stick it in a pocket or something and just make sure that it's not sitting out there in the cold because you'll go to use it and won't want to. And I hope that that answers that question. Another thing that we're going to do is post this live session. We are also going to create sort of these newsletters. So as these questions and these Q&As, if we have examples, we're going to be creating articles. We're also going to be creating videos showing you ways that you can use this back and forth Q&A in your own daily routine and practice. Because sometimes I really like to see what somebody else has done and then modify it for my own purpose. I will also tell you, make sure you go ahead and bring that unit back in when you're done playing. It does house sensitive electronics. It is pretty impervious to like some light rain or some snow. You want to make sure that does dry out though, again, nice and thoroughly, and that you're not leaving it out in those elements. Roxanne, oh, your dogs, oh, you have a Bernedoodle named Otto, and Pinky, I love that name, 50% pug, 40% Aussie, and blue heeler, and also 10% pug. Okay, so that is quite the mix. So you're asking what is the best way to use SwiftPaws with, oh, 10% beagle. Okay, I was gonna say, pug in there twice is interesting. How, I don't know if the DNA tests how they work on that, but okay, 10% beagle. That is a very tenacious mix, actually. So I ended up adopting a pup 2 years ago, and she is part Aussie, also part Dalmatian. Anytime you have those working breeds in there. So you're asking how and what is the best way to use SwiftPaws with 2 words. And for me, best is a couple of things. Like when I think of what's the best way, my brain immediately jumps to safety. So what's the safest way? And then also best way, what is the way that I can give both of those dogs a really healthy and enriching run? They might not run exactly the same way. So first thing I would think about is, do they play nicely together? Are they happy to share toys? Do you have one that's maybe a little bit more possessive, like I do? I've got one that doesn't like to share all the time. But if they play well together and they know each other really well and they don't have trouble playing well and sharing well together, you can give it a try with both of them. I would definitely recommend having somebody to help you the first time that can hold them by the collar or harness, whatever they're running in, inside the middle of the course, and then releasing them after you've already gotten a chance to get the lure moving, and then watch them, right? So one thing I find fascinating when people will run 2 dogs together is oftentimes they'll take not turns, but they'll take sides. So you'll have one dog like taking the back half and the other one taking the front half. And it's almost like they're working together to keep the lure on the run. And then you'll have sometimes where there's like size discrepancies, right? So before SwiftPaws, I just started running events in my hometown. We did this every single month, and we still run them, not quite every month anymore because the business keeps me really busy. But I had this one customer who would come out to my monthly events, and she had 3 standard poodles and a Boston Terrier. And I kid you not, that Boston Terrier, like obviously it's not going to be able to keep up speed wise with those standard poodles, but the Boston Terrier would cut the corners and adjusted the way that it ran. That way I could run for the very fastest dog that was in the lead at all times. So why is that important? Well, back to safety. When it comes to lure coursing in general, it's really good to always focus on the dog that's in the lead. And that's because the dog that's behind, they're really smart. They're going to adjust their running style. They may slow down. They may start to cut off a corner. And that's not the dog that we necessarily need to be worried about. We want to worry about the dog that's all the way in the front of the pack. We're going to run really appropriately for that dog because the dog in the back is naturally going to adjust their running style. Now, if you try to run your dogs together and you find it just doesn't work out, you may have to do it one at a time. But I have seen all types of pairs and duos be able to run together, whether it's a big dog and a little dog or 2 dogs of the same breed. And it's always really cool to see it when they pull that off and run really nicely together. Oh, Jax. Okay, so oh, Is a Pomsky and is actually a service dog. That's awesome. And you guys are in Connecticut. So this is another question of using SwiftPaws in the snow. Yes, you absolutely can. You want to make sure that that machine is going to be brought inside so it can dry off after. If it's one of our battery operated machines, make sure the battery isn't getting too cold or it won't want to get started. So that means have the battery inside, bring it outside when you're ready to play. Once you're running, it's not so much of an issue. And then another thing that I would say in the colder weather is oftentimes in Florida, which is where we are, I say that dogs will get hot before they'll get tired. So I like to actually shorten the runs in the heat. In the cold, they're not actually getting overheated and panting and tongue hanging out. So you may want to keep a closer eye on your dog's ability to keep up. So that might mean that you're stopping the session. Maybe you're only playing for one play session or two play sessions when you think that your dog is starting to get a little bit tired, because they're not going to get hot or potentially have the risk of overheating like they do in the summer. So the only other thing to think about in the snow and in the winter is they can run for a lot longer before they're getting really hot or starting to feel the effects of getting tired. And you know your dog's best. So watch them, watch their activity level. If they're a couch potato, maybe keep it to like one or two sessions, then go inside, give them a break. And if they're still raring to go at the end of the day, you can bring them back out again for another one. And yeah, no problem. If I'm happy to answer multiple questions. I know some people have had to drop out and come back in. Oh, Andy, okay, so you've got Eleanor Rigby, a 16-year-old blue heeler. So that's the dog in the photo. Oh my God, that's incredible. Echo is a 3-year-old blue heeler. I'm sensing a theme. Then we have Cooper, a 1-year-old golden retriever, Baby Ruth, a 1-year-old chocolate lab, and Miracle and Miles, 2 cats. That's awesome. Oh, and you'd like to set it up for your cats. We do have people who set this up for their cats. They bring it indoors, and usually we'll either tie the pulleys and machine off to something like a furniture leg or something like that, or use like weights or even command strip hooks on tile to like hold the tethers in place. We do have, by the way, and I'll tell this to everybody, and maybe Kim can drop this into the chat. We have a knowledge base where my customer success manager, Ella, has generated amazing articles that basically anytime somebody writes in with a question and she thinks that it could be useful information for more than one person, she generates an article. So this is a knowledge base, it's live, it's public, and you can just go straight to it. It's support.swiftpaws.com. And any question that you have, like setting up inside, we actually have a video where I set it up inside. You can watch that video. Another thing to note is this year, a little bit of a teaser, a sneak peek, we are hoping to be able to release a version that would be an indoor version for cats. Hopefully it'll be actually even more affordable than our current kits are. And I can't wait to share more of that with you. I'm actually expecting samples of that product maybe as early as March. So it would be really cool if we could pull that off. But you can use any of them, Chase Home Original and Plus indoors. And I would really recommend, if you've got our newer version that's app controlled, to adjust that into indoor mode when you're playing indoors, because that's just going to take the top speed of that unit and reduce it, cut it in half. So that way you have more control and you're not going, 36 miles an hour in your living room. Oh, and Laura said that she and her 5 cats play with Chase every morning for about 10 minutes. That is incredible. We would love to see that. If you wanted to send us a video, we'd love it. We'd love to share it. And we do. So we scour Instagram, the internet, everything. We scour for people who are sharing about SwiftPaws. It makes my day every time. What's really fascinating is that we've been saying people can use it for cats, with cats for years, but I think recently, like in the last year, I have seen more people using it with their cats than ever before. And I think it's just that push, right? I mean, behind me, you see Play Well and SwiftPaws and Gateway to Enrichment and some of our new stuff like Pawsler and some of the amazing books that are out there now. I think people are becoming more conscientious of the fact that our pets really can do more and we want to provide more for them. And that includes cats and dogs. Sean says, my 4-year-old golden retriever, Abby, loves playing with SwiftPaws when it's not raining or snowing. Can relate. I have one that doesn't like the rain. North Carolina is a roller coaster of weather for the winter. Okay, so you have the Chase and you only have the app. Can we get a remote? Yes. So we do have a physical remote controller. The version that works with the app controlled units, the app compatible units, is called the Universal Remote. It is on our website. And that Universal Remote is going to be able to link with whether you have Chase, Home Original, or Home Plus. That's going to be able to control those devices. You can also enter the different run modes like indoor mode, wine mode, using the remote as well as through the app. But I will say that the app, like obviously the interface is a little easier. The remote just has one button, so you have to do like a series of button presses to get into the different modes with the remote. Um, I'll also say this with the remote, it has a like a CR1238 battery, so kind of like a TV remote. That battery in the remote should last you like 2 to 3 years before needing to be replaced. So it's very durable and has a ton of longevity. And we used to include the remote with every single kit. And that remote is a considerable portion of the cost because it has, a circuit board, it has its own software, it has its own injection molded parts. That battery is a Surefire battery that's made in the USA as well. Our circuit boards, even the printed layered board, not only the components on it are being assembled here, but that circuit board is made in the US as well. So that cost, as we were trying to reduce our cost and offer Chase, which is our most affordable kit ever, being able to invest in the app and then offering the remote to those customers who want it is a way for us to reduce the entry level price to get a kit and be able to use a kit. But for those who want a remote, we still offer the remote. And I love the remote. I actually use it interchangeably. In some situations, I prefer the app, and in other situations, I want that remote. Awesome. So Molly in Milwaukee. Oh, we were in Milwaukee just this past year with From has a Pet Fest event, and we were there and we ran a few courses. It was really cool. So you guys have Chase. Your dog is Sadie, a poodle, Rottweiler, German Shepherd. Oh, these mixes. And I live for a working breed. And I also feel your pain. I know how hard it is sometimes to have them. Um, okay, so you're on an iPad, and unfortunately, well, you know what? If you want to share us a picture of Sadie, you can email it over to us. You can email that to info@swiftpaws.com. We would love to see Sadie. She's obsessed. I can relate. She's 65 pounds. Oh, and she seems to be damaging the rubber ring on Chase. Got it. And you don't think you're running too tight. Any tips on determining if the line is too tight? And that is a great question. And also, you're talking about potentially buying like replacement parts like stakes in the rubber ring. First of all, we really, really want to provide our customers with customer support. We do have a full 1 year warranty. So if you've purchased it in the last year, let us know that rubber, like the grip band, the pink band on that drive wheel, that it's wearing out, and we will send you another one, no problem. Beyond that year, we will, for the lifetime of the product, not even, let's say you gave it to a friend, right? For the lifetime of the product, not even just for the person who purchased it, we will repair or replace at cost, which means that if you bought it more than a year ago and you want to replace that little rubber ring, the pink ring, you just write support@swiftpaws.com and email, let them know. And I think that part is like less than $5, and we can get that on its way to you as a replacement. So running too tight, we could actually cut in a snippet of video. I think one of the things we might explore doing with these sessions is following up. And if anybody would like to get an email when this session is posted to like YouTube or wherever, if you just want to drop your email into the chat or as a private message, if you don't want to share your email in the chat to everybody, you can direct message me and just type in your email and we'll make sure that you're notified. We can also cut in some of these clips that I'm talking about and also share you those resources for these parts where I'm like referencing either videos or some of the support pages. Running too tight with Chase. So my best advice, and let me grab one. So my best advice when trying to dial in Chase is go ahead and remove the tether from the stake, and you're going to be sort of on the ground. I'll do it like this. So we're imagining that we're looking straight down onto the ground. You're going to go ahead and grab it and hold it back here with the line and everything attached. And a little bit tricky to do, maybe have a helper if this is hard for you by yourself. But while running, you're going to move the unit in and out. That way you're going looser tension, tighter tension, and you will find naturally the place where it is happiest. And that's going to change based on the height of your grass and the terrain that you're running in and how long the course is. So I like to dial that in. And once I find the sweet spot, then I'll stake it into the ground. The sweet spot for me, by the way, and the way I like to say it is you want just as much tension as necessary, but as little as possible to run. So I'll move it forward until it's so slack that that wheel is spinning and it's not providing any grip and the line isn't running at all. And then I'll pull it back just until it starts to get some good purchase and is moving the line. I'll anchor it there. And if it seems to be a little bit too loose after a minute or so, I might move it back another inch. And the reason why I say as little tension as is necessary is that the drag, the tension, basically any friction is going to make the motor work harder. So whatever unit you have, Chase, Home Original, Home Plus, even our pro grade machines, as you apply more force or drag, they work harder. So they're going to have less performance. So your top end might be 20 miles an hour normally with Chase, but as you increase drag, it's going to get a little bit more sluggish. It's going to work harder. It's going to be less fast. That was a really good question. And yes, if anybody's needing replacement stuff like stakes and things, we do sell them. You may not see them every single component directly on the website, but if you email support, we are always happy to get it either at absolutely no cost if you're within warranty and something's starting to wear out, and then beyond that, just at cost. Awesome. And yes, Laura, an indoor version for cats. I'm pretty excited about it. And one thing that we're exploring is 2 modes on that indoor cat version. The first mode would be just like normal, so you're controlling the direction of the lure manually. The other one would be sort of a mode, an automatic mode that sort of like pre-runs a little thing, or it might run this way and then stop and then go the other way and then speed up a little and then slow down. Because I think that cats definitely interact with and engage with this product a little differently than dogs, and they're a little bit better suited to a pre-programmed running session than a dog would be. So we're playing with all of that, testing all of that, and I can't wait to start to share it with you guys once it comes together. Andy, how do we know if we have the model with indoor mode? Great question. So if you got yours at the end of October in 2024, you do have it. If you're in the app, actually, I might be able to, it may not let me if I don't connect actually to advice, but I may be able to try here. So I'm in my app. Let's play. Let's just grab a Chase device. Okay, so I'm not connected, and I don't know if you can see it or not. This might struggle. Okay, here we go. We can see it a little bit. So right where it says the device name, there's a little drop-down arrow here. And that drop-down is going to share with you a menu. Oh, no device found. Yes, thank you. I'm not connected. But that drop-down is going to say outdoor mode, indoor mode, and wind-up mode. And that is how you change between the modes. And that's a really great question too. One of the things we're trying to do and learn from here is actually how can we improve our customer materials. So that means that when you first buy a kit from us, what are we providing you as far as resources and the help and the support and the knowledge? So you guys are actually helping to participate in us improving those systems as well. And that's one thing we find that, like, if we get asked a question more than a couple of times, we probably need to improve how we're sharing information with our customers so that way they don't have to come to us and ask it. So yeah, definitely the time frame that I would say is one of the newer versions is if it's app controlled, it has all of those modes. If it's not app controlled, or if you purchased it sometime in like 2023 or previously, could have even been early 2024 with some of our versions. We also have an article in the knowledge base, which shows a quick and easy way. If you have Home Original or Home Plus, you're going to pop the battery cover off. There is a sticker in the back of the battery cover. If the edge of that sticker is pink, you have an older generation unit. If the edge of that sticker is teal, you're going to have a newer generation, our newest generation app controlled version. Molly, you have already replaced it once. Okay, got it. Oh, so you are one of our original supporters who pre-ordered Chase. Thank you so much, by the way. We are a really small team. This is my hometown here. We do all of our assembly. About a mile from here, we have a little warehouse that we rent, and all of our products here get assembled here. We do all of our final testing here. And part of the reason why we were able to launch a product like Chase is because so many of you pre-ordered it, which helped us bridge the funding gap in that development. I mean, it required all new tooling that we had to purchase, a bunch of software development. And if it wasn't without you guys helping us fund that by saying that you'd want to order one and pre-ordering, I'm not sure we would have actually been able to do it. Um, and we actually met in Milwaukee. Oh, that's so sweet. I actually think I might remember it because you said that you can't take your dog to events, and I can relate. The dog that got me into all of this pretzel was one who didn't really like other dogs, and I if I took him to an event, he wouldn't have a good time. Let's put it that way. And that you get to play with this with your dog that doesn't benefit from going out and being in public. And that's awesome. So you're having trouble dialing in that sweet spot. I do understand that. Another thing you may try to do with that chase is if you're running outside in the terrain, is boost those pulleys up a bit. Sometimes I'll take like a foam block, like a yoga block or something, or even just something to just lift it up just a little bit so that the line is floating just above the grass. That is going to allow Chase to perform better. And ultimately, Molly, if it comes down to it, and this is for any of our customers, and this is the kind of education, the kind of information we want everybody to start to be aware of. If you determine that the version that you originally purchased isn't quite strong enough for you, you can upgrade. So if you have Chase, you could upgrade to Home Original. If you have Home Original, you could upgrade to Plus for just the difference in cost of that drive unit. So you get to, so all the rest of the kit, the pulleys and all that stuff is the same. You're going to get the same stuff depending on which kit you purchase. The pulleys are not different between the various home versions. But that drive unit, even if it's used, even if you used it for 2 years, or let's say it was doing great for you, and then you got 3 more dogs, and now you need something more, write us at support. Let us know that you're interested in upgrading. You can basically send us back that used unit. You just pay the difference in cost of those drive units, and we will send you the next version up. And then if, for example, you need the Home Original and the battery or the Plus and the battery, we get you everything that you need included in that so that you can fully run the upgraded, the next version up. And then, we also don't feel bad about sending us back a used unit because we refurbish anything, any returns, any stuff that comes back in, we refurbish that product. And then those are the pool of devices that we use to collaborate with. So we'll donate those to shelters and rescues. Those are the ones that we will use anytime that we're doing a collaboration, maybe with another brand, or potentially even getting some of it into the hands of people who are running like smaller events that might be fundraising for a shelter or rescue. So it really is a win-win when people decide that they want to upgrade. Andy said super fun to figure out how to have one for cats that can also be in the air or even go from the floor to the wall, mimicking catching birds. Yes, I am so there with you. We actually saw, I think it was posted in our community recently, somebody who's running it outdoors suspended for their dogs, and they say that their dogs actually interact with it better when it's suspended in the air. And we had a cat sanctuary that actually they put the pulleys up on some posts, and I think it was based on the video, maybe about 3 feet off the ground. And they have probably 20 cats in this amazing catio for the sanctuary. And like those videos are incredible. So yes, and with the pulleys, let me grab one of our little pulleys here. When you're running indoors, you can take like a little command strip hook, and you could theoretically mount a pulley vertically. So if you wanted to go like up and down on a wall, I could see some really exciting things happening when you start to get creative and put these indoors. Awesome. So I hope I answered the questions about that and about potentially upgrading. Yes, upgrading is absolutely an option. And Roxanne says that, oh, you got a Home Plus in August 2023 and you haven't used it yet. Actually, Roxanne, I would be surprised if that battery is still good. So that battery, when they ship to you, they ship at 30% charge, and they will slowly lose charge like a car battery over time. So what I would ask you to do is try putting that battery on the charger. You would have gotten sort of like a LiPo safety pouch. You'll find I'm very safety conscious. Our batteries are very similar to the ones that are in your laptop or your cell phone. But because batteries don't, like every single battery out there has some level of risk, we always want to provide you with everything you need to be safe. So sometimes it freaks people out, but I'm like, we're just trying to cover everybody's bases. So I would pop it in that pouch, charge it up. And if it doesn't want to reach a full charge, or if you find that it is not lasting as long as it should, reach out to us. We will make, even though it's been more than a year, you haven't used it. So reach out to us, explain the situation. And in your case, we would certainly make an exception and get that battery replaced for you because you just never even had a chance to use it. So if it doesn't function, let us know. We'll take care of you. Awesome. And then, oh, and then Andy said may also do a similar sort of suspended version for the young healer because your young one goes after the drive wheel sound. That is really common. That might be more common than you even think. So many of our pups, we take them outside, they see it for the first time, right? And they're like, this is amazing. I want that flag. They're so focused on the flag. And then something interesting starts to happen. They will start to realize that sometimes that flag is really fast. Sometimes they catch it. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they really go for it, put in 100% effort, and it just evades them. And I found that if the lure is like just a little bit too tricky, a little bit too hard to catch, they will start getting creative. So that could mean, especially with a healer, cutting the corner. I have no problem with that. I love the different ways that dogs run, especially herding breeds. If they start to cut across the middle, it's a perfect opportunity to let that lure come to a stop. And then they get to change direction, then you go back the other way, right? So now they're almost herding the flag. But they'll also sometimes redirect on the machine. They'll say, well, I know it. This is what runs it. This is making noise. So I'm going to focus on the machine. Or they become a pulley biter. They want to focus on the pulleys, or they even focus on the string. And one of my, like elevating it could help, but one of my best tips, and I think we might even have a video that I did about this because it was coming up so frequently. If you have a dog or even a cat that is kind of focusing not so much on the flag anymore, I go through a little reconditioning process where I let them capture the flag a ton. Like they win almost every 30 seconds or 15 seconds or 10 seconds. So I'll run it, and as soon as they try to go for it, I'll let them catch it. And then I'll let them have their way with it. I'm not trying to get them to drop it. Yeah, they might chew up the flag, they might chew through the line, they might drag it across, but I really let them thoroughly enjoy having the satisfaction of having caught it. And when they naturally tire of that, that's when I'll run again. And when they put in that effort to go chase it, I'll let them catch it again. And it might seem frustrating at first for us humans, but for them, basically helps them realize that, oh, if I put my focus on the flag, that really is the rewarding part of this. And I think you'll find that they will slowly reduce the amount of attention that they're putting into that other thing that they started to redirect the focus on. And here's my offer to anybody who's going through that process. If you start losing a bunch of flags, write us, tell us that that's what you're going through, and we will send you a pack of flags absolutely free. Because what you'll find too is it doesn't take that long before their focus is really healthily directed on the flag again. And then you don't have to let them catch so very frequently. Same thing for people who say, well, my dog only stays near the machine now and they won't go all the way to the other end and they used to run around the whole course. Let them catch on the other end a bunch. And that'll sort of re-energize the value of that area of the course because they've won and they've had success over there. Awesome. So somebody said they'd like to know that upgrading is an option. Oh, a battery question. Yeah, so if you haven't been able to run for a while, how best to store the battery. We actually have a really great little cheat sheet that Ella created for us. It sort of has like 1, 2, 3 on how best to like use and store it. The best way to store the battery, if you're not going to use it for a period of time, is to charge it to the storage voltage. And a really good question is, what is the storage voltage? That is actually the voltage that's written on the front of the battery. So for Home Original, that's 11.1. And for Home Plus, I don't want to tell you wrong, but for Home Plus, I think it's 14.8. I could be wrong. So whatever that voltage number is written right on the actual battery casing itself, you plug it into the charger, you make sure that it reads around that number, and that is going to be the best place for that battery to sit for a period of time because LiPo batteries, they don't like to be too full and they don't like to be too empty. Oh, Molly, we got a picture. So is that, I think it might have been Sadie. Is that Sadie there? You'll have to let me know. That is adorable. Um, so guys, I think we are slowly coming to the end of our chat. And yes, that is Sadie. That's adorable. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the view on my end because I think that's what it's recording. That way we can hopefully see everybody's photos. It looks like, oh, Jack's a picture with one of our critters. That's adorable. And Roxanne, both of them. Oh my goodness. Andy, the cattle dog, just adorable. Jeff, fun fact, Jeff is also on my team. He probably doesn't appreciate the shout out, but that is one of his dogs. And if you guys have ever enjoyed any part about our website or the purchasing process or how smooth it's all gone, or if you've ever been hit by one of our ads, Jeff helps me with all of that and has been doing that since 2017. I am so lucky to have some incredible team members like Kimberly and Jeff who joined us today. Thank you guys so much. This has been really cool. I hope to be able to do these on a regular basis. Yeah, and thank you guys. When you guys say kind words and say that you appreciate what we're doing, what we're building, that's what makes it all worth it. So I'm going to sign off for now. And if I missed anything, feel free to write us in emails and maybe we'll catch you up in the next session. All right, guys, take care. Bye.